Welcome to Spiritual Dialogues with Father Odon de Castro. We are here at Cariana Lay Monastic Community. I'm your host, Brother Lodi, and with us is Sister Tachi. Sister?
Yes. So, Father, with that confusion, everybody's confused. Why? Was there any formal inquiry regarding that situation?
So, going back to the Bishop Synod,
Yes.
there should have been no confusion. Why? Because Pope Francis presented the proposal that remarried Catholics may receive Holy Communion. Very clearly, the bishops disapprove it. So, there should be no confusion.
There should not be any.
It's disapproved. The
Which
bishops
is the right thing.
Yeah, disapprove it, and they said no, remarried Catholics cannot receive Holy Communion because they are in an adulterous situation. Very clear. What caused the confusion is Pope Francis insisted, and he began to tell bishops and so on to follow his opinion that remarried Catholics can receive Holy Communion, and many bishops are following it up. The bishops of Germany have followed it. The bishops of Argentina are following it. Many South American bishops are following it. And that is what caused the confusion. Pope Francis himself and the bishops who are following him.
What could be the reason of Pope Francis why he insists on remarried people to receive communion?
It's the same reason why the other bishops are supporting Pope Francis. In other words, if Pope Francis says remarried Catholics can receive Holy Communion, and the bishop says disapprove, it cannot be. Remarried cannot receive Holy Communion unless they go back to their original husband or original partner, or they live as brothers and sisters. Cannot be. They cannot receive Holy Communion. Now, the point is, Pope Francis insisted on this practice, which is against the teachings of the Catholic Church. Against. Now, many bishops sided with Pope Francis. Many. But not the majority, because the majority rejected his proposition. And we know the names of those bishops. And some of them are Filipino bishops.
Who sided?
Who sided with Pope Francis.
Okay.
So what we're having here is a situation where Catholic bishops are siding with a non-Catholic teaching or a heretical teaching.
I think that will destroy the theory of infallibility of the Pope with regards to the doctrine of the Catholic Church.
Yes, of course, it will. But nobody is using that as an argument. Yeah.
Okay.
How come?
Well, because the discussion is not intelligent. You know, when you discuss, you have to have basis for your reasoning.
Yes, Father, definitely.
Like if you're discussing what is true and what is false, at least you must use philosophy.
You must have a very good basis for...
Yes, which is philosophy.
Yes.
Because philosophy is the study of the truth. No? Everybody's discussing and they are just presenting their own opinions. They're basing all their discussions on their own opinions, not on doctrines, not on philosophy, not on divine revelation.
Their opinion based on what Pope Francis suggested?
No, their opinions on what they like.
What they think.
And so when they like what Pope Francis says, they
It's okay.
side with him. And unfortunately, those against Pope Francis also are going against him because they don't like what he said. In which case, they're also following what they like.
So no.
Which is not very good. That's why it's confused.
Mm-hmm.
What the ones going against Pope Francis should present is why Pope Francis is wrong is because he's going against the teachings of the Catholic Church taken from divine revelation and from the fathers of the Church. And that's what they should say.
Seemingly very simple, Father.
It is simple.
Yeah. How come they don't argue that kind of reason?
Well, fortunately, four cardinals did what was wise, what you were suggesting, Brother Lodding. And they presented a dubia to Pope Francis, meaning to say, they were asking Pope Francis, this is the teaching of Jesus Christ. This is the teaching of the Catholic Church from the beginning up to now. It's taken from divine revelation and from the fathers of the Church. And the teaching of the Catholic Church is remarried Catholics without dispensation, etc., cannot receive Holy Communion, which is the proposal of Pope Francis. So the proposal of Pope Francis was a non-Catholic teaching. And so the dubia was asking Pope Francis, can you explain it? Because what you say is obviously against the teaching of the Catholic Church. Kindly explain it because probably we got you wrong.
Yeah.
Misunderstood.
Maybe you didn't express yourself clearly. Or for any other reason. So we want you to explain it.
Did he clarify it? Did he
Explain?
clearly explain the reason behind his suggestion?
So the purpose of the four cardinals were correct.
Yes.
They wanted to resolve the confusion, the resolve, by asking for an explanation.
Until now, there is no explanation for that.
Well, it has been almost 800 days,
My God.
and there is no explanation. And so the confusion continues.
Well,
He didn't even comment about it, right? He just ignored it. Is that what he did?
Yeah, he just ignored it.
No, there's no comment.
Not only that, he ignored it and continued doing
the same
what
on the
he
same
liked,
time.
which is allowing remarried Catholics and encouraging them to
In other
receive Holy
words-
Communion.
Yeah, in other words, he ignored it. Says, he didn't mind it.
He insisted on his own.
Only,
yeah.
says, in other words, I don't have to listen to anybody. I'm the Pope.
Yeah, which is right. You know? He really doesn't have to listen to anybody.
But
he's
he's going to bring us to hell.
No, he's supposed to listen to God because
Of
he's
course,
supposed to be the vicar of Christ.
Okay,
you know?
so Father, so where would you stand? So did they continue? Did they insist on the dubia? Were they able to push
No,
it?
that's
No. So
the-
what's that?
That's the complaint people have, that the one who presented the dubia is not insisting that Pope Francis answer the question they presented. They're not insisting. They're not pushing through. And so the whole world continues in confusion. And that's a mistake of the four cardinals. Of course, two of them died already. At least the two are still alive, you know.
They can still.
And there are other bishops and cardinals who are joining the other side, insisting that Pope Francis is wrong. They should push
They should push the dubia.
that he
The
answers
question. Okay.
to resolve the situation, because it is not yet resolved.
But he does not. So what's next, Father? Total confusion, and that's it. Wow.
Well, in your case, Brother Lord and Sister Tachi, because usually to resolve a situation, we listen to the Pope.
Normally.
Normally. But since we are beginning to suspect very clearly that the Pope is the one who is committing the mistake,
Yeah.
we cannot listen to him anymore. We cannot and we should not.
No.
Because obviously, he's committing a mistake, and those who are questioning him are not being answered. And that's very bad. So for us, what should we do? We should go directly from the sources of truth. Directly, we must go to the sources of truth, which is divine revelation and the fathers of the church. And if you go to the sources of Catholic teaching, you can see that Pope Francis is wrong. So what are you going to do about it? You cannot do anything about it.
I will not obey.
You are not cardinals. You're not bishops.
So you have no influence on anyone if you just say, I don't I don't believe. It's not correct.
The point is you should not obey
No,
because
not obey.
Christ said so. That you must, it's better to believe man than, no,
And believe.
sorry, it's better to believe God than to believe
Of
man.
course
It's
naman.
better to
Yes,
obey
of course.
God than to obey man.
Yes.
And Christ said so. So since the Pope is not doing his job as a Catholic, we should
Not obey.
to resolve the situation. But how many Catholics are doing that?
To resolve. But since you can't push him, since he doesn't even answer what was ordinary lay people, how can they do?
You cannot do anything. That's why
Nothing.
our suggestion is
Is-
you go back to the
Yes,
sources
in other
of
words,
revelation.
yes. Don't do it.
And don't obey it because it's
No.
against
Yes,
divine
that's
revelation.
clear, Father.
It's
Yes.
against-
So that's clear. That's clear that lay people now know what to do. Don't
Yeah.
obey it because it's not correct.
You mean to say the Pope doesn't know that his stand is wrong in terms of
maybe
this
once he knew.
marrying? I cannot believe that.
Yeah, I mean, he's Jesuit trained.
Yes, Father.
I'm also Jesuit trained. And I know what he said is wrong. So you're right, Brother Lord. How come he doesn't know what he is saying is wrong? Which comes to the more serious situation that probably he knows what is wrong and he wants to teach what is wrong.
What
He
could
wants
be
to
the
change-
reason behind that, Father?
Oh, that would be a very bad situation, you know. Because if you know what you're teaching is wrong and you teach what is wrong, that makes you a heretic. And if you're a heretic, then you cannot be a pope.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely, Father.
So that's clear.
It will destroy some belief by the Catholic community that the Pope is not the right Pope.
Well, that's the next thing we're going to discuss. Because after the dubia, there is of course there are many other things, but we shall try to concentrate only the 4 that are in the news, because everybody knows it is the news. And this is the 11th page writing of Vigano. Vigano is a
Cardinal?
bishop, formerly head of one of the bishops. He's one of the bishops in the United States before. He was holding a very important position at the Vatican, and then he was transferred to the United States. And what happened is all the corruption going on in the Vatican was confirmed when he was assigned in America, the U.S. That what he was suspecting were the source of corruption was actually happening in America.
Did he expose this corruption?
And that was what he did with the 11th page writing that he presented. His name is Archbishop or Bishop Vigano, in which he exposed all the rottenness in the Vatican.
My God.
Now, when you see something going on like that in the Vatican, you have to ask the question, what are we going to do?
Yeah, definitely.
If that is happening, what are we going to do? In other words, we have to resolve some questions.
And who are the right group to resolve this kind of problem?
Well, Bishop Vigano gave some solutions. Pope Benedict has given the solutions before. And the Catholic Church has always the solutions to all spiritual problems. We always have. We always have from the beginning. How come we do not know the solution? It's a big question.
We have only 1 minute, Father, please.
And so when Bishop Vigano exposed what was happening in the Vatican, the question is, how come this is happening? When we know the Catholic Church has the solution to all these kinds of corruption. And there is no answer. So the people are confused because there is no answer. But the Catholic Church has the answers. The Pope has given us the answer. Christ has given us the answer. How come we don't know the answer? How come the entire Vatican does not know the answer, including Pope Francis?
Father, I think that will be on your part to answer that kind of question. Thank you very much for watching Dialogues with Father Udon de Castro. Please continue watching so that we will know what to do and or what to think about the right thing about the Catholic doctrine. Thank you very much for watching.
Hosanna, Hosanna.